So I was going to do a top 10 favorite anime list, but I like way too many anime, so I did a top 15 anime list. Number 15, Ghost Hunt. Ghost Hunt is about Mai Taniyama and how one day she stumbled upon a camera that was set up in her old school building. She investigated it and found Kazuya Shibuya from Shibuya Psychic Research. She ends up working as his assistant after some stuff happens. It's about the cases that they go on. There are a variety of cases, all of which are different stories. So it's really like a bunch of ghost stories in one anime. It's pretty awesome. I love the character design, the different stories, and the overall premise of watching ghost hunters at work. I like the supernatural, so this is a huge plus for me. I give this show a rating of 8 out of 10. Number 14, Dragon Ball. Now I'm talking about the whole of the Dragon Ball series. I like the Dragon Ball series because it is about Son Goku and his escapades as a martial artist. He finds out later that he is what's called a Saiyan. He loves to fight, so whenever a bad guy appears, Goku gets super excited to test his limits. He fights various people throughout the show. Some become allies, and others remain villains. This show is amazing because there's so much to see. So much action, some adventure, crazy characters, and some funny moments. I rate this one 8 out of 10. Number 13, YuuYuu Hakusho. This show is about Yusuke Urameshi and how he dies. No, but that's only the start, because he finds out he has a chance to live again, but only if he passes a certain trial. He goes on to then try to pass. Ultimately, he passes, and it makes him become what's called a spirit detective, with spiritual powers. He meets various villains along the way. 2 demons that he does end up meeting, and he does fight, end up becoming strong allies that help him later on. This show has amazing characters, an awesome story, some funny moments, and some epic fights. I give this one a rating of 9 out of 10. Number 12, Attack on Titan. This show is about people living behind walls. What's outside the walls? Well, the beings known as Titans. For 100 years, humanity is safe. One day, all hell breaks loose, and the Titans get in, wreaking havoc on the ill-prepared population. Eren Yeager, a kid who witnesses the destruction and the death of someone close to him, vows to defeat the Titans. He decides to join what's known as the Survey Corps, the group in the military that ventures outside the walls to make human settlements, and defeat the Titans. While they do this, they learn about the Titans as they go. This show has awesome characters, crazy high-flying action-packed fight scenes, and a story that keeps you hooked, wanting to know more. I rate this one a 9 out of 10. Number 11, Loggy Season 1 and 2. This show is about Aladdin, a being known as a Loggy. That's a type of rare magician. Loggy are also known to have created huge structures called dungeons. In these dungeons lie jinn, powerful beings that possess metal vessels. If you conquer a dungeon, you can get one of these jinn metal vessels and use it to become powerful. Aladdin meets various people on his journey, some good, some bad. In the second season, he goes to a magical school, and there, he must investigate some dark secrets that are hiding. While doing this, he can't let anyone know he is a Loggy, because they do not take too kindly to Loggies at the school. So he has to learn magic and about the darkness, while keeping his identity secret. There are a lot of twists. I love it because the characters are all amazingly powerful. The fights are epic. They're epic because it's magic fights, and I love magic, and the story is very interesting. I give this one a rating of 9 out of 10. Number 10, Dororo. Now this show is about a father who is the lord of land, but this land is not prosperous. In order to make the land great again, he decides to pray to demons, and says they can take anything they want. What do they decide to take? Well, the body parts of his newborn son. Right when his son is born, there is a flash, and the poor kid has no limbs, eyes, nose, skin, or anything. Somehow, the baby survives and becomes strong, so he can fight the demons to get his body back. The boy's name is Hyakkimaru. While on his adventures to defeat the demons, he meets Dororo. Dororo decided to become his companion and travel with him. This is a heart-wrenching story with some crazy characters, but it keeps you intrigued to know what's going to happen next. It was a thrill ride for me. I rate this one a 10 out of 10. Number 9, D. Grayman. D. Grayman is the story of Alan Walker, someone who's called an exorcist. There are beings called Akuma who are evil and need to be exorcised. So, That's what the exorcists do. They have what is called innocence that gives them powers to fight. You get to see Alan's struggles using his innocence as an exorcist. This story has a lot to it, so it keeps you wanting more. The characters are interesting, the fights are awesome, and the story is like a roller coaster. You go through a ton of emotions watching this show. I would rate this one at a 9 out of 10. Number 8. The Rising of the Shield Hero. This one is about a place called Noromark that needs heroes summoned to help fight Calamity. They summon 4 heroes, a sword hero, spear hero, bow hero, and shield hero. Naofumi is the shield hero, and he at first is okay with it, but then finds out the others all dislike him, and one even goes as far as to concoct a scheme to make Naofumi look like a bad guy. Poor Naofumi has to deal with everyone looking down on him, even when he does a better job at being a hero than the others. It is an emotional ride. I love the character designs, the story is intense, and the battles are raging. I rate this one at 8 out of 10. Number 7. Full Metal Alchemist. Now I love both series, Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but in this instance I'm talking about Brotherhood. Now I love this one because it's the story of Edward Elric and his brother Alphonse. They made a huge mistake and now suffer for it. They are alchemists in search of a thing called the Philosopher's Stone. They need the stone in order to fix the mistake. In order to get the stone, Edward becomes part of the military and helps fight. There are beings called homunculus that are made from this mistake, and these are beings that they have to eventually fight. They meet tons of people, good and bad. There are sad, serious times, and funny, humorous times. This one made me tear up and cry a bit when a certain someone dies. This one has such a good story, great characters, and awesome fights. I rate this one 9 out of 10. Number 6. Seraph of the End. This is the story of YuuYuu Hakusho, who is an orphan. He's being held with a bunch of other kids at an underground vampire base at first. They are being used for their blood. YuuYuu wants to escape one day with his new family, but they're worried because the reason that they're underground is because there is a virus that took out everyone that's over 13. YuuYuu ends up joining a vampire killing squad in the army after various events make him want revenge. You see him and his squad struggle in the fight against the vampires. There is huge twists throughout the show, so you never know what's coming next. I love the character designs, the characters themselves, the battles are spectacular, and the story is incredibly interesting. I rate this one a 9 out of 10. Number 5. Is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon is about Belle Cornell, an adventurer wanting to fight monsters in dungeons. Every adventurer has a god or goddess that grants them power. He has the goddess Hestia. She is a bit of a goof, so the other gods don't really like her. She is the only god with only one person. Belle is determined to get strong and win. You watch as Belle goes through a lot to gain power. He meets other gods and people. He has some amazing adventures, gaining power and friends along the way. The story is incredible, the characters are something else, and the character designs are beautiful. Gotta say, the fights are pretty epic too. I rate this one a 9 out of 10. Number 4. Black Clover. Black Clover is about Asta and Yuno, 2 orphans living in a church with other kids. In this world, there is magic. Asta does not possess any magic. Yuno, on the other hand, is blessed with being very good with magic. Asta eventually gets his hands on what's called a grimoire, a book that grants you magic spells. There are different kinds of grimoires, a 3-leaf, 4-leaf, and as you find out, a 5-leaf. The 3-leaf is the one that everyone gets. The 4-leaf, it only a select few get, like Yuno, and the 5-leaf only Asta has. They both strive and get strong to become the Wizard King. There are Magic Knight squads, one of which is called the Black Bulls, which Asta ends up joining. I love this show because the characters are super interesting, the story is insane, and the fights are magic fights. I love magic. I rate this show a 9 out of 10. Number 3. Number 3 is a tie between That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime and The Promised Neverland. That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime is about 37... That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime is about 37-year-old Mikamis that used to live in the real world but was attacked and ultimately killed, so he was reincarnated as a slime in another world. And as a slime, he's got various powers. One of the powers that he can use is a unique one that's called Predator. That makes it so he could eat people, and he can use their powers as his own. He can analyze it, and he can also use a power that's called Mimic to mimic that person. And while he's in this world, he gets the name Rimuru. And as Rimuru, he goes on to become a super powerful lord of a goblin village, and he brings a bunch of different monsters together, and he's super powerful, super kind, so it's really cool to watch. And if you do like some really interesting fights and an interesting storyline and some amazing characters, then this is the one to watch. I rate this one a 9 out of 10. And The Promised Neverland is about a house that is an orphanage. Emma, Ray, and Norman are 3 of the older kids. One day, when one of the kids was being adopted, Emma and Norman stumble upon what it really means to be adopted. It's super dark. So now you see the 3 of them trying to figure out how to escape with the other kids. They do some training drills in the form of games. I really like this one a lot because it didn't really have fights or anything, but it keeps you interested in what the 3 are going to do next and if the kids will get out. So the characters are awesome because the 3 of them are super smart and skilled at quite a bit. The story is unlike others, so it's got you wanting to watch more. Even without crazy fight scenes, it's still so good. I like it so much, I read the manga after to see what happens, and it's going to be a doozy of a ride when season 2 comes out. I will rate this one a 10 out of 10. Number 2. My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia is about Izuku Midoriya, who lives in a world that has superpowers called quirks. He finds out that he didn't have one of these quirks, which devastated him as he wants to become a hero like his favorite hero, the number 1 hero, All Might. So what he does is he watches fights and takes a lot of notes. He's a fanboy, so he can at least try and be ready to be a hero when he wants to. One day his friend from school gets captured by a slime villain, and even without powers, Izuku runs in to help. His body just moved on its own. All Might, the number 1 hero, saw his heroics, so he asked Izuku if he wanted his quirk. All Might has a unique quirk that can be transferred if the person with the quirk wants to give it. All Might deems Izuku worthy and gives him the quirk. The quirk is called One for All, and it is a strength-enhancing power. So in order to use the power and not destroy yourself, Izuku must train his body to become ready for it. He gains tons of muscles, but it's not enough at first. He finds that out when he goes to the best hero school in Japan, called YuuYuu. The entrance exam was having to beat these big robots that were like villains. When Izuku punched one, by jumping up, he broke all of his bones in his legs and his arm. So he found out the hard way how harsh One for All is on the body. Throughout the show you see him struggle to control his power and learn how to become a hero. This show is amazing because I love a story where the main character starts out being weak, then gains power and becomes powerful. I like seeing the growth. The fights in the show are top notch and the characters are all pretty cool. I'll rate this one a 10 out of 10. Number 1. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is about Tanjiro Kamado and his sister. What happens is Tanjiro's family lives on a mountain, and one day he goes into town to sell some coal. While on his way back, an older man tells him not to go because it's nighttime and demons come out, so it's dangerous. So Tanjiro took the man's offer to stay at his house for the night. The next morning he goes back to his family, but finds out demons attacked and the only person alive was his sister, Nezuko. Thus prompting Tanjiro to carry his sister to a place she can get medical help. Turns out Nezuko was turned into a demon. This starts Tanjiro's story of learning how to slay demons, looking for the one that turned his sister, and kill his family, and of trying to find a way to turn Nezuko back into a human. They go through a lot of hardships, but their bond as siblings is unbreakable. I absolutely love the characters. They are all so unique. I love the story, and the fights are fascinating. A definite must-watch if you like fighting shows. And I really like this one because, 1. Tanjiro is an amazing character because he, even though losing his family, strives to save the family he has left instead of mourning the family he lost and wanting to protect her at all costs. 2. Nezuko, being a demon, does not turn on Tanjiro because of their familiar bonds. So that's really cool. And 3. The fights are so good. You love fighting? Watch it. I swear, you'll love it. And I rate this one an 11 out of 10 because I like it that much.